Welcome to this April edition of Local Image. I'm Judy Skeie-Voss. Minnesota's jobs economy is past the halfway point since the start of the recession, with 52% of jobs lost now being reclaimed. Yet while job availability is on the rise, Minnesota's unemployment, while among the lowest in the nation, also rose last month. So what's the story? Where are the jobs? Who's getting them? And who is being left out and why? Well, one Vadnais Heights group is offering to be a resource to local businesses in helping to answer these questions and more. They call themselves the HR Roundtable, and they formed late last year as a part of the Vadnais Heights Economic Development Corporation. They meet regularly and recently brought in an expert who shared what businesses, human resource managers, and job seekers need to know about the changing world of work and the human age.
The only differentiator is talent, and that's what we mean by talent replaces capital.
Today we have Donna DeMetta, who is going to be presenting, and she's going to be speaking on the human age and the world of work trends. And what that really encompasses is businesses and societies that have the right talent are those that are going to excel.
So what we say is that, products can be replicated, technology can be bought, but people are the differentiator, truly, as far as organizations go. The networking part of this is really important, but having access to some pretty cutting-edge information is also really important. A lot of companies, these mega trends I'm going to speak to really affect all companies, both global and small. And so, it used to be much more bifurcated around, well, we don't have to worry about that. Well, now we all have to worry about that. And so trying to get information out around what the trends mean, what are the implications for talent, what's the implications for retaining people, for working models, for being strategic as an organization, it makes a difference. It's not your daddy's HR, and it's not old school anymore. You have unemployment, which is pretty high, yet you have all these job openings. So why is it that we can't find the right people, right? And there's a lot of reasons for that. But one of it is that because our organizations are changing so dramatically, especially from a technology point of view, we don't have the talent set on the street. And we're not going to ever go back. It's sort of the new normal, we call it. So the talent mismatch is a big piece. You have technology disruption and sophistication and revolution. And if you just look at where we've come in a few years in technology, most of us makes us kind of anxious. It's hard to keep up. We have customer sophistication, so customers are demanding more and oftentimes now know more than we do, or they get there before we do, right? And the last one is individual choice. So if you are an A player and you have talent in certain segments like engineering, IT, you can go anywhere you want and you can ask whatever you want for compensation, and organizations are in some ways held hostage by that, unless they have this fuller package, right to order, development, all sorts of things. Otherwise, you're just, whoever has the most money wins, and that's not sustainable because people will run out of money. It's interesting. So skilled trades is the number one most difficult job now to find people for. We've talked to companies that, it's harder to find a welder than it is a cardiologist, right? And so companies could just double and triple if they could find people in the trades. So you have people in the trades, you have accountants, you have IT, engineering. There are places, the unemployment rate for an IT person now is 1.4%. That's pretty low, right? And so, but you also have management. You also have admin assistants that are a lot in healthcare. There's certain verticals like healthcare, nursing, that if you have that skill set and training, you will work the rest of your life if that's in fact what you want to do. So it's important to pay attention to what are those careers that really have some movement, which is not to say that liberal arts isn't a great thing. I got my degree in liberal arts. I'm a better person for it. But we just need to keep advancing our skills. How many of you are pretty confident that if you had to articulate the business strategy for your organization, you'd be able to do that?
What we also do is ask those that are in attendance, what would you like to see the next time? Because we want to ensure that the topics are very relevant, and that they have an opportunity to not only learn, but also, as Chris had alluded to, network with one another and learn about best practices that are working well in one organization, and maybe share those so that they can implement those in their organization.
VHEDC HR Roundtable is open to not only HR people, but business owners, anybody that has anything to do with human resource management.
Last month, Governor Mark Dayton declared Thursday, March 22nd, Lynch Syndrome Hereditary Cancer Awareness Day in Minnesota. In anticipation of that, a panel discussion focused on Lynch syndrome took place right here in our studio. The program is part of an effort to get the word out about the importance of knowing your family's medical history, especially when it comes to colon cancer and Lynch syndrome, which is the genetic variation that increases the risk of early colon cancer and other cancers. And our good friend and founder of the White Bear Lake Area Relay for Life, Keith Warner, who has Lynch syndrome, shared his story as a member of the panel, and here are some excerpts from that program.
Generalities about Lynch syndrome, though, that make us key into this and make us think this is an important conversation to have, is that the cancers that occur in this syndrome tend to happen at a significantly younger age than in the general population. Keith mentioned his first cancer at age 34.
Yes.
I think we all would agree that that is significantly young for a colon cancer. In the general population, it's about 65.
Genetic counseling is the process of, let's take a careful look at that family history and make a determination. How does that family history impact your risk? The family tree is the single most important tool for doing that. That's how we tell, is it hereditary?
Okay.
Second to that is we are now far enough along that in some cases we can use genetic testing to further clarify that risk. And we offer genetic testing when it can be used to prevent cancer, help better detect it early, or sometimes even guide treatment decisions.
But the other way it helps is we know to look for other cancers developing. If somebody has Lynch syndrome, they're at risk of getting a second colon cancer, at risk of stomach cancer, ovarian cancer, and endometrial cancer in a woman. And that can be overwhelming when you talk to somebody who's dealing with first a cancer diagnosis to say, well, not only do we have to worry about this cancer, we know you're at risk of other cancers. But by knowing it, we can screen for those cancers and catch them very early or even prevent them.
People have fear of the unknown, but you can, if you've got facts, you can deal with it. And I think with that is the fact that if you know the risk, you can change the outcome. That's a significant part of the whole thing. For people to be, they know the risk, they can change the outcome, because early detection is why I'm here.
To view the full 30-minute program online, just log on to our website at onlocationtv.org. And to find out when it replays on Channel 19, just click on the program schedule. Stay with us, because in a couple of minutes we'll reveal which film in this year's recent Z-Fest Film Festival in Minneapolis was picked as comedian Louis Anderson's favorite film.
I know we don't have any food or water or shelter or flares or fins or breathing apparatus or hope, but we do have entertainment. Check out what I swiped from the guy in 16F on the way down. Now we can watch all our favorite on-location GTN shows online.
What you talking about, Jerry? We can't watch shows like Northeast Journal, Your Police Report, or Local Image on the web.
You know, I was once naive, just like you. And then we had a plane crash and I realized no more. All of those shows and more are available on their website. Just try not to get the laptop wet.
The film that was awarded Louis Anderson's favorite at this year's Z-Fest Film Festival was none other than our own Scott Jenson's film called The Jump Kick Story. Let's watch a clip of the film and then talk to local image photographer editor Scott Jenson about his film.
You're giving me some of the cereal.
No, I'm not. Give me the milk.
No, give me the cereal.
Hello? I got it first.
You're an idiot.
This is the moment, Danielle. This is the moment that makes a story great. I kid you not, I flew 15 feet across the room.
Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thank you very much.
Well, congratulations. That's a pretty great achievement. If Louis Anderson picks your film out of how many films?
33
as
this year.
his favorite. Why was it his favorite?
It was his favorite, I think, because he has, he likes family-friendly humor. And I actually went to go watch him do his stand-up routine about a week before the premiere of the movie, and it was just so amazing how his humor is still so innocent but yet not childish, and it was just so relatable. And
you think he picked that up off of your
film? Yeah, I feel like,
actually,
no, I met him afterwards, and he was like, that's I really liked yours, and I gave it high marks. I think you have a shot. And I was like, oh, sweet, that's great.
Well, you didn't win the top prize, but that's a great honor, and I know you feel great about that. This isn't the first time you've done this film festival, or how many film festivals have you entered over the years?
This Z-Fest is similar to the 48-Hour Film Fest, which I've done a lot, but it's way different in a lot of great ways. Like, you actually get enough time to really put your heart into something that you're going to be proud of, because they give you a week. It's basically like a film race where all these teams are making a movie and then have to hand it in at the same time, and it's awesome. I enjoy it.
Well, we saw the little clip of the film, but give people a better sense of what was this about, this film?
Well, the idea hit me because there's an infamous true story in my past, and it's about my brother and I fighting over the last bowl of cereal, as you guys saw in that clip. And I was just like, you know what? Everyone loves hearing that story. I got to just find a way to get it on the screen, and that's what it was about. And so I did it.
And the little girl, the little toddler in there is your brother's daughter. She was perfect.
It was funny because I was testing some waters, like a week before the shooting. I was like, "Can you say story?" And she's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Story?" Nothing. Finally, I had to bribe her with some chocolate, and she was like, "Story." And I'm like, all right, this is going to work.
It's hard to work with children and animals, I hear.
Yeah.
Is that right? So what kind of tips would you give those who are also aspiring film, makers, since you've been doing this for a while now?
It's simple. It's really easy. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
You just got to keep making movies and just, find a story that you're kind of passionate about and go film it. And the 48-Hour Film Contest taught me that you can really make a movie in one weekend, and you just got to do it. It's such a weird thing because there's so much that goes into making a movie that there's so many reasons not to do it. But again, that's why these contests are amazing, that they just force you to do it,
And of course, over the years you've developed your skills as a photographer, and lighting is huge, and audio, and all that comes together to make a great film. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure we'll be seeing you enter some more in the future. And of course, you're always doing great work here on Local Image and with On Location, so we got to get you back out there working behind the scenes.
Yep. Next year, though, we're going for the #1.
Ooh,
and
nice.
Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome.
Very cool. Thanks, Scott, and good luck next year. Now, let's find out who won this year's 6th annual VIP Chili Cook-Off at Serenity Senior Care in White Bear Lake.
This is our 6th annual VIP Chili Cook-Off. I'm Peggy Black, and I'm the Director of Community Development at Serenity Senior Care in White Bear Lake. Well, every year we raise money for different types of programs or needs within our facility. And this year, because we're doing a very large expansion and renovation project, we're going to put the funds that we raised today at the Chili Cook-Off towards that expansion and renovation project.
I'm kind of more of a traditionalist, so some of these are quite different, different meats, different textures, but I like them all, and great variety. It's interesting to see the differences.
No, they were all good, and everybody that volunteered to be contestants are all good people in the community. So.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, here's the moment you've been waiting for. The chilies were all so marvelous. Drum roll. First place goes to somebody new this year. Like to ask Sean Smith from Eat on Banner and Fat.
Chili is a very personal thing. So to have 4 people agree on one chili was really cool, and I really feel very good about that. I use steak. I don't use ground beef. Peppers and onions, tomatoes, and some seasonings that I'm not going to tell you about. How's that?
Our thanks to TV19 volunteer Ben Vinar for once again covering the chili cook-off and sharing it with our viewers. Now, here to share with us his latest book is local author Jim Bruton and his co-author, who is the focus of the book, Best Seat in the House, WCCO sports anchor and director Mark Rosen. Welcome to you both.
Thanks.
Welcome to our Best Seats in the House.
This is great. Thanks, Judy, for having us on.
Great seats.
Yeah.
It's great to have you back, Jim, and once again, another book that you have co-authored. You've worked with so many. What was it about Mark's story that kind of brought you two together?
Well, everybody knows him for one thing. I mean,
Absolutely.
My kids know him, my grandkids know him.
Oh, wait a minute, grandkids.
He's been around for so long, 41 years with WCCO, which is just unheard of in the broadcasting business. And I don't know, we just connected from the beginning. We had a great time doing it. It was so much fun. We met, I loved the idea that we met right in your neighborhood where you grew up, over at Bruder's Bagels about probably 15 times. And we had a great time doing it.
Well, this has taken about a year, we were talking earlier, to put this together. In that time, I mean, what were some of the surprising things that you learned about Mark in your time spent with him?
Well, I think the biggest thing was every time we met, we had a good time. And I think his passion for wanting to do this seemed to escalate every time. One thing I was going to tell you that was so neat about the title is when we started this and we didn't know, he said to me, Jim, I just want to tell people what I've had for 41 years, which is the best seat in the house.
Absolutely.
And we thought, oh my gosh, there's the title of the book right there. So that's how it came about.
And this book has so much more in it than I first thought I thought it was going to be kind of another sports kind of book. And as we talked beforehand, it's so much more. It's more about your career in sports and behind the scenes and your relationships. But what is so amazing, and you've heard this over and over, is just the fact that you've been with WCCO for over 40 years, and that is unheard of in this business.
Yeah, it's something you don't plan when you first venture into this thing. And I think it was important because I wanted to, we've all had mentors in our life, and I think it was really important, especially in the early chapters, to talk about that, because I was 17 years old. If that scenario existed today, I would have been there for 6 months, then out the door, because that's the way internship programs work. But in this case, I just hung around and around the most amazing local newsroom ever assembled.
No doubt.
So many of those people some of them are still working today. I mean, Barry Peterson's still working today. Susan Spencer's still working today. And so all these people meant something to me in my life, a lot to me in my life. So I thought that would be the way, and I didn't want their story to go untold.
Right.
Because this was an amazing group of people who created this legacy station that exists today that people still watch and admire. So for me, it was important to get their story out there through my eyes, happen to be the person with the best seat journalistically in the house with this wonderful group of journalists.
Well, and your passion for sports, I mean, obviously it came when you were just a kid. You've had that passion your entire life. But talk about how that combined with your interest in media, television production, journalism.
Well, I mean, I grew up here in St. Louis Park, and my dad took me to Gopher football games when I was 8, 9 years old. I went to the Rose Bowl the first year. He took me to the game. This is pretty cool. They haven't been back since, but that's a whole nother story. But I was always, listen, that was an era when we all played outside. We didn't have video. We didn't have the technology. We were outside, and I think because of that, I was able to use my imagination, making up games when I threw the ball against the steps, and all that stuff I think translated later on in my life.
Right.
But it's a combination of having that love of sports, yes I did, and playing it and obviously watching it, and having that continue on through the years. But also then more importantly, I think from a personality standpoint, getting to know these sort of bigger than life people that came across my life, both as a young person in the business and then through my adult life, and continuing those relationships and forging those relationships, which many that exist today.
Right. And you know, your favorite part from what I gather out of the book is being the writer. I mean, writing the stories and really, and that comes through, and I'm curious, how did you guys work together on that? I mean, you could have written this book yourself,
Well,
so
no,
how did that?
I could not have written it myself.
Okay,
I'll be honest with you. That's why this guy was the perfect person, because I knew Jim's background. Don Shelby is the one who got me involved with Jim, and I was aware of his work. And I think because of his background, knowing it was important to have someone who knew WCCO television, knew about me, so I didn't have to start from scratch. But it was a great process. I didn't know how any of this was going to go. Jim tape recorded me. Once we laid out the chapters, and we tape recorded me, he'd write a whole bunch, and then I'd write a couple things, and back and forth. And
then I'd tear his up. And
tear him up and start all over. No, but I mean, it was,
Was there anything in this process that maybe he didn't think was worth putting in the book, and you thought, no, people really need to know
Yeah,
this?
I think that some of the relationships he had with people and the way he described them were things that were really important, and especially we put a lot in there about the old newsroom at WCCO.
Awesome.
And you know, I mean, like with me, I used to go over as a kid at midnight on, I think it was Saturday nights, that they did it where
the bedtime news?
When Dave Moore did the bedtime news, and a bunch of us would go over there at 15, 16 years old, and we watch it live. So I mean, and Dave Moore was an icon to me, and Hal Scott and Bud Kraling and all those. Well, and
absolutely.
I thought, but he worked with them. They were so we have to tell them about who these people are. And so I identified so much with those people. And of course, Bud Grant, Harmon Killebrew, and Mark just did such a great job of portraying these as just people, not icons. And I have to tell you though, Judy, the chapter I loved the best was Miracle on Ice.
Oh,
because
absolutely,
Mark, I think, did such a great job of making me feel, and I'm working it and trying to put it on paper with him, but he made me feel, gave me chills to read it, because I felt like I was watching the game with him. Did you?
I felt the same way,
yeah.
I mean, I remember watching the game, and I mean, I was in high school. I was, a junior when that game came out, and we were so excited. But I mean, to be there, that had to just, like you said, it's one of your all-time.
Well, there's nothing that could top it. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that bond that I had with a lot of the Minnesota kids. I mean, the Neil Bruttons and Mike Ramseys and Eric Strobel, all these guys, Rob McClanahan's that I covered as we were almost a peer group.
Right.
And then to have that opportunity to go to Lake Placid and understanding that really not much of a chance of other than having maybe a nice, decent showing, getting a nice consolation prize, a pat on the head, and go home. And all of a sudden we know what happened. And not so much just, it gets back to relationships. Everybody knows what happened in the game, but to go back with those same guys, it was important for Jim and I to tell that story as well. 25 years later,
at the reunion,
I get goosebumps sitting here talking about after Herb Brooks' unfortunate, untimely death. To have that bond and to have not just so much the ceremony, but walking across the street afterwards and having a beer with these guys and talking about the times.
Awesome.
I mean, it was one of those moments you want to put into a bottle and go, this is one of those, transformational moments that you just wish everybody could share with you.
Yeah. I mean, you've had so many of these encounters with some of your favorite sports heroes, Sandy Koufax, you got to interview. My gosh.
That was one of a kind. I was asking, we were talking with Channel 4 the other night about one of the more embarrassing moments. That was it. I was interviewing him live, and he was a very private person. This was during the 1985 All-Star game. He came to town, and I was so starstruck, I forgot where I was. I think I said, back to you, Dave, and I was at Met Center or where I was. I had no idea. I was like standing next to Sandy Koufax. I could have been on Mars. I didn't even care. But, and he was so nice and is so genuine, and that's my prized picture. It's like, that's the one I'd grab. They say, what are you going to grab out of your house? My picture is Sandy Koufax. So.
Yeah. Well, and mentoring folks who mentored you along the way was huge, and now that's very important to you as well. So in that sense, what do you try to tell people who are trying to get into the journalism business, sports?
Well, I mean, I never want to dissuade anyone from pursuing their dreams. It's a tough business now, because when I first started out, there were only 4 channels, and there wasn't an ESPN. There wasn't, certainly the blogs and the internet and all the sorts of things that exist today. And I think more and more people, because of that, and not gender related are interested in it, and there are opportunities out there. And I said, look, go for it. Work on your writing.
Right.
I had a couple times had people come up and go, I want to be an anchor like Amelia. I said, that's great, but you want to maybe work on your reporting skills. I always tell, look, the fundamentals still remain the same, no matter what how the technology has changed. Become a good writer. Learn how to write to video. Do all the things, because that's going to serve you well, whether you end up getting into this business or not.
Right.
But here's the thing you got to understand. You're going to probably work someplace you don't want to live in. You're going to be paid nothing. You'll be, having your Happy Meals every other day, and this is the life you may have for a long time. So be prepared for that. But I would never tell anyone to say, don't go for it. If you feel it in your heart,
if it's a
then go for it.
passion,
But have a plan B and plan C these days.
How, I know you're going to answer this, obviously, how fortunate do you feel being able to have your passion and your work? Because you love your job every day. It's not always the best, but you love it.
It's truly amazing. I mean, it is. I mean, to be in the same place after all these years and work with, again, the people that, I mean, look, it's like a family down there.
Yeah.
And I say this in all honesty. People say, well, how do you guys, you look like you get along so well. What's your secret? Well, we like each other.
Yep.
I mean, Amelia and Frank are like my family down there.
Yeah.
I'm energized every day by that process. You just never know what's going to happen. And I've always said this many times. The day I walk in there and go, I obviously I have bad days like everybody else, but the day I'm not energized by the process,
gotta go.
I think I'll know before someone has to tell me that it's time to go.
Well, today is your day, because today is the day that I'm going to ask you about makeup tips for behind the camera.
God, Judy. Well, here's...
You wearing makeup, Mark?
She was going to do this to me.
Uh-huh.
We'll be talking about Smashbox and HD makeup.
I have to do my own makeup.
So do we.
Yeah,
so do we.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we used to have makeup artists. We don't anymore. But yeah, it's pretty funny because now it's all HD, and I'm 60 years old now, so the little wrinkles start showing up a little bit more. But it's pretty funny how we have to putting the aprons on back there. If people could only see what goes on in the green room, it's our little sewing club back there and book club back there.
I had to ask you, because you do talk about that in the book too. You cover so much in the book. It really was a pleasure to read.
Thank you.
Once again, you've done an outstanding job.
Skye's unbelievable.
I know. Well, thank you both for coming on.
You.
Continued success
Thanks,
in
Judy.
all that you do, and keep breaking those stories, like when Brett Favre came to town. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Please join me again in May for more local stories. And as always, I do thank you for watching Local Image.